So the Hampton Roads April 2025 housing numbers are finally out. And let me tell you, this market is not cooling down in any way. Well, what do I mean? The median sales price up by 1.4% to $350,000. The inventory, yeah, that's up by 14.6%. So that should be good news for buyers, right? Well, slow down just a bit. The median days on market sits around 15 days. So homes are coming off the market just as soon as they go on. And if you're thinking that the sellers are taking less money for their properties because they're doing a lot of price reductions in a crazy market that you're hearing national media talk about, and they're still receiving 99.8% of the listed price that they actually list their homes for. So what does this really mean? That this is not a soft market in the Hampton Roads area, and it's definitely not just as buyer friendly as many would like for you to think. But also what this means is that if you're indecisive about what your strategy is going into purchasing the home in this market, the market is leaving you behind. So in today's video, I'm going to break down everything that you need to know about the 7 cities when it comes to their housing data for the April 2025. But also I'm going to be breaking down not just the numbers. We're going to be talking about how this affects your money, your timeline, and the strategy that you need to impose based to make sure that you are still locked in and making sure that you can navigate in between all this madness that's taking place in the Hampton Roads market. And I want you to also know, if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in the Hampton Roads market, you're not alone. I get phone calls and text messages from viewers just like you each and every week, and I love every minute of it. Matter of fact, I want to encourage you and I want to urge you to go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text at 757-294-8163. What you're going to get from me is that you're not going to get any pressure, but you're going to get friendly advice from someone that you're going to feel like is an old friend to your family and helping you make the smooth decisions about what you need to make when it comes to the Hampton Roads market. And with that, you're going to get information like a straight shooter, no chaser. But what I also want you to do is go ahead and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so that way you can be the first to learn about any and everything that's going on in the Hampton Roads market. Let's spin the block on the regional market snapshot and talk to you about everything that you need to know about Hampton Roads in April 2025. So let's look at the bigger picture here. You're going to see that April's median sales price, like we just talked about at the top of the video, sits at about $350,000. That means that there's an increase of about 1.4% month over month, with active inventory raising to about 14.6%. But we're still only at 2 months of supply, which is well below the 5 to 6 months that we're needed for a balanced market. Homes selling in this market is currently sitting around 15 days, and sellers are getting about 99.8% of the listed price for sale. So what does that data tell us about the regional snapshot? That the market is now on the brink of recession is what it tells me. But it also shows me that the market is moving swifter, it's moving smarter, and it's going to be moving with more decision making on the front end versus waiting and seeing mentality that I used to see before in 2023 and 2024. Now, also what this signals to me is that the market is rewarding people who are moving with speed and clarity in this market and punishing indecision. Now, if you're hesitant and you're on the fence and you're thinking that you can go see a house on a Sunday when you see it on the market on Wednesday, you may just be out of luck when that house comes on the market, because it may not be there by the end of the weekend. And if a house comes on the market on Friday and it's priced right in our region, it definitely may not be on the market past Monday. So you really have to be sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. For instance, I had a buyer reach out to me the other day. We spoke, we actually talked about booking a listing appointment, well, booking a showing appointment for Sunday, because they wanted to make sure that they got other homes actually in their showing request together before they actually went out and actually look at 1 or 2 homes. Well, in that case, that's fine with me because I work at the time of the buyer. But I always try to express, if you really are interested in this home, would you be disappointed if this home is not on the market by the time you go see it, if we don't go see it today, and possibly have to write an offer the same day as well? Well, check back 2 days later, their home is now under contract and is already pending, meaning that it's going to probably be closed within the next week or 2. So that tells me that the market is still moving very swiftly, and this is at an interest rate environment that we're going to discuss here later, which is still a little bit relatively high for a lot of people. But now I started to see buyers are starting to be more at ease with where the rates are currently at, because the inventory levels are still at a level where it's really nothing on the market that you can actually be sitting around waiting on. If it's the house that's for you, you, it fits what you're looking for, that's really what it is at this point in time. So let's jump into our regional stats when it comes down to city by city breakdown, and then we're going to talk about some of the pricing strategies for buyers and sellers in each one of these markets. So let's jump into the first one with the Chesapeake. When it comes to Chesapeake, the median sales price was at $397,500 for the April 2025 data. Now the inventory is actually almost up to 30% more this month in April as well, to 29.8%. Days on market sits at 13 days as market as well too, and sellers are seeing about 100.2%. List to sell ratios come back to them when they're actually putting their home on the market. You have more inventory, yes, but homes are not sitting on the market and they're really still selling fast. If you're a buyer, yeah, you may have a little bit of breathing room, maybe in negotiations, but not really much, because when competition coming in, all bets are off, and you got to put your best foot forward to land some of these homes. And if you're selling, you're still technically in control of negotiations in Chesapeake at this point in time, if you price with intent. If you price too high, you could lose that power that you may be able to wield over in week one, when you're sitting on the market past week one and now you only have one buyer, maybe two offers, hopefully. But realistically, if you don't make it out of week one in Chesapeake, you may just be now in a negotiation factor that's going to tend to lean towards the buyer than you as the seller as well too. So let's jump into our next one. It's going to be Virginia Beach. When it comes to Virginia Beach, you're looking at a $385,000 median sales price, which is down 2.3% for the month of April 2025. Now your inventory has increased by 27% in the month of April as well, with the days on market sitting around 10 days in Virginia Beach. Your list to sales ratio is going to be about 99.7% to sellers. Sellers, let's just talk about it. Pricing right in Virginia Beach is really going to make the difference for you if you're thinking about putting your home on the market. You can technically sell your home within 7 days easily if you're priced with intent and you're priced correctly. Now, if you overprice, the market is going to bite you in Virginia Beach right now. This is a price sensitive market. Buyers are willing to wait if they think the home is out of reach in Virginia Beach, but they're also ready to stretch their pockets a bit to get the home in Virginia Beach as well too. So you gotta be very sensitive to what pricing looks like in this market, because the median days on market shows you at 10 days that it's really not there. But if you make it out of week one in Virginia Beach, really and truly, buyers who may start having the intent of what is really particularly going on with this home that other buyers are overlooking. The competition is fierce, the competition is vast, and what we've seen in Virginia Beach is that some cases you're able to move houses as is, and in some cases you're not. So you really got to make a very good decision for a buyer or a seller in this situation, as how it pertains to you and what can you live with and what can you not live with, and what is some of the things that you're really thinking about when it comes to your needs versus what you're looking at when it comes down to the identifying of the wants. Really and truly, if you're thinking about that Virginia Beach market and you really want to be there, you're really going to be making some concessions unless you have the budget to make a bigger move in the Virginia Beach market. So when you start getting into the $500,000 to $600,000 range, you're going to see competition to be less, but also that competition could be cash. So make sure that you're ready to negotiate when you're ready to get into this. But realistically, sellers are still in control of the market when it comes over to Virginia Beach as well too. But buyers have some pull with some of these homes actually make it beyond 6 to 7 days in Virginia Beach as well. So let's jump into our next one over in Norfolk, and let's get into our favorite name brand, moving to Norfolk. When it comes to Norfolk, your median sales price is going to be $310,775 in the month of April. Now, inventory is up by 14.1%, and your days on market is at 15 days. Currently, the list to sale price ratio in Norfolk is at 99.8, matching exactly what it is for the regional market snapshot. Now, Norfolk is a unique individual city, in my opinion. If it's under 300,000, you can see investors front loading and getting into this market. The reason why is because right now people are still customarily calling me and asking, can they find an investment property in the 150 mark? Now you possibly can, but it's really going to take a lot of overhauling to get it to where you want it at, to actually put it back in position for either rent or for flipping. Now it's a unique perspective to me when it comes to being under 300,000 in Norfolk, because not only are buyers looking in this market at 300,000 and less, but you have investors now starting to take on the upheaval, understanding that they need to be in the $300,000 market as well too, or below. So now you have competition that's vast and you got competition that is fierce. So if you're not really serious about purchasing in Norfolk and dealing with the competition, I want you to readdress your strategy, because really and truly what you're going to deal with is it's going to be a lot more cash buyers in Norfolk right now. And with investors looking to get investor-backed centric loans, this is where you're going to see them get very creative in their strategies as well too. So it's really going to take for you to have your mindset focused on that you could be in an upheaval if you're not prepared to deal with the battle that you could see in Norfolk. Now, when it comes down to selling your home in Norfolk as well, it's going to be similar to Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. If you're priced just right, the strategy doesn't really change. You're pricing it right, you're taking advantage of the condition of the properties, you can see your property leave the market very soon, especially with the median days on market being just as the same as the regional snapshot. So to me, Norfolk is really fierce, it's really getting competitive, and I know a lot of people are talking about these $60,000 grants that they've seen trending across the market when it comes down to the city of Norfolk. Yes, the city of Norfolk is rewarding buyers the opportunity to actually look into the $60,000 grant program. They actually have a $40,000 grant program too if you make too much above the median income that can lock you into 3 particular cities or 3 particular neighborhoods inside the city of Norfolk. And now in this regional market snapshot, what we're talking about today is just the overall data about Norfolk. But if you have interest in anything dealing with the grant program for the city of Norfolk, leave me a comment down below and let's have a discussion and talk about exactly what's going on with that city of Norfolk grant. So let's jump in over to our next one. We're going to spin the block over in Suffolk. So when it comes to Suffolk, your median sales price is down 3.6% to $405,000. Now the inventory has increased drastically to 39.5%. Now the days on market, it sits about 20 days on market, and your list to sell currently right now sits around 99.7. So when it comes to this market is a little bit more interesting because the inventory levels that you're actually seeing is coming from the increase in new construction opportunities in Suffolk. People are still migrating to Suffolk and builders are still building in Suffolk. So the inventory that you're seeing increasing is not coming from the resale market. And what it means is that if you're thinking about selling your home in Suffolk, that you have to take in conditions like what is the upkeep of your home look like, the curb appeal of your home as well, and where's your home located at in the central market of Suffolk. Because if it's not one of the, if it's not in one of the main staying locations inside Suffolk, you could see it sit on the market just a bit here. Now, the real good thing about this market is that homes are pretty much priced appropriately, and you get more value, getting bigger lot sizes, and you're getting a lot more square footage for the price per square foot when it comes in comparison to Chesapeake Square and when it comes to comparison to Chesapeake and Virginia Beach. Now, with that being said, sellers in this market is still strategizing just the same as they need to make sure that their home come off the market. Now, when the inventory levels are up this higher, it lets buyers actually negotiate with the builders and actually get a little bit more incentives, actually giving their way with concessions, whether that's for closing costs, upgrades, things of that nature. You have a little bit more of a leeway here. So when it comes to the resale market, buyers may have a little bit more of a negotiation with resale sellers here as well too, because of just how much inventory is actually in the market, and they can be a little bit more choosy when they want to actually pick out the home that's right for them and right in their offer. Now let's swing on over to Portsmouth and talk about what's happening over there. When it comes to the city of Portsmouth, your median price is sitting around $268,450. Now that inventory has decreased by 12.3% over in Portsmouth as well, with the days on market looking at 23 days. Now your list to sell ratios for sellers in Portsmouth is at 100.1. Now what this really means is that there's fewer homes actually in this market right now. So fewer homes mean that buyers are stressing and having to figure out the best strategy possible to land a home that fits their needs in Portsmouth. So sellers are actually being a little bit more controlling in the negotiations there. Now also the growth that we're seeing in Portsmouth right now with the redevelopment that's taking place with the Rivers Casino, you have the Norfolk Casino coming, so that's impacting the city as well. And now Rivers Casino has just announced that they're actually building a hotel onto the casino as well too. So that means more jobs are coming into that market. So this means that investors are still looking in this market as well. Now to me, in comparison to Norfolk, Portsmouth is one of those cities where investor money is going to go longer. So investors' money is going to be very creative in that market. So if you're a buyer, you really got to understand that there's fierce competition actually in Portsmouth as well too. And if you're a seller, obviously waiting it out a little bit longer in this marketplace may make more sense. But if you're ready to actually unload the properties that you may have in the market of Portsmouth and actually looking to downsize or upsize to another market, then this may be an optimal time for you as well, because right now buyers are still looking in this market and they're pretty much paying close to full value for a home in this market at this point in time. So I think Portsmouth gives you a lot more luxury, a lot more freedom to actually consider what's up next. And I think that's really what's going to make a difference here going into the future months, especially during the summer time frame, where I think we're going to see a lot more buyers continue to trend into that market, because there's, like I said, the inventory is less there, but also there's more opportunity to gain potential value as the city continues to grow its growth period that it's experiencing right now. So let's swing on over to the peninsula side. Let's look at Hampton and see what's going on in that market as well too. So when it comes to Hampton, the median sales price is down 5.1%, down to $270,450. Now that inventory is down 6% as well, and the days on market is at 22 days on market. Now the list to sale ratio for sellers in that market is at 99.5%. Now, just like the cities of Norfolk and Portsmouth, this is yet another investor-centric city in my opinion. And the reason why is because the median sales price is still hovering below $300,000. Now that means to me that buyers and investors are in the market at the same time, and they're competing against one another. And when you're seeing that happening, this is what you tend to have the focus of, is that who is going to get to the homes first that makes sense for them. Now, if you're thinking about building an investment portfolio, this could be the city for you where you can actually see that trend going. Now, also home values are actually starting to rise simply a little bit more and more each month in Hampton, because people are now starting to migrate to Hampton. And I think a lot of people are thinking ahead and looking to the future when the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel expansion phase is complete, that they think that this is going to be a nice boom to the city. Now we have to wait and see how that approach happens, but if the traffic and commute times can actually be minimized to Norfolk from the peninsula side through the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel, then you could see a lot more migration to that side of the water, because then you can start seeing more opportunities for people to actually work on the south side but live on the peninsula. Now we still have that trend happening right now, but the commute is just drastic, and it gives people pause about actually making the commute. So we'll see how this continues to open up, and if you're a seller, you're still getting close to full value for the listed price of your home. So this still means the same strategy has to be implied that we've talked about across the board, that you have to be listed correctly, not priced aggressively, but priced right, because buyers are paying attention to what's going on in the market. And I think that's really the difference here, is that buyers are a lot more smarter about what they're doing with their money. They're paying more close attention to the market, and they're consulting with their agents to understand exactly what the market is really offering at this point in time. So really and truly, if it's priced right, you're going to get the value that you need, I believe. And I think when it comes down to it, the methodologies that we have for our listing presentations, we go through every single one of those, and that tells you exactly what you need to actually be doing in this market. But we're going to swing on over to the neighboring city of Newport News. We're going to look at that one as well and keep it moving. So when it comes to Newport News, you'll see that the market is up 7% in Newport News, up to $300,000 on median sales price. Now the inventory has decreased by 6.7%, and the days on market is at 16 days. Now the list to sale ratio for a seller in Newport News has been around 100.4. Okay, so now Newport News has been real high under the $300,000 mark, but it's trending closely to actually seeing a bigger lift coming in that area. Newport News is trending up really, and it's getting hot over in that market as well too. Being at that $300,000 threshold and seeing money coming into that market and seeing how aggressively approaching the growth of Newport News is actually starting to take on, I think that this market is actually going to be one of those that we're going to be talking about in the next 5 years that could be moving progressively forward to where you're going to see a big upheaval of change in Newport News. Now, also, this means to me that buyers, you have to be very strong in your negotiation tactics, because the market is starting to trend to where people are looking to actually move out to that area. Now, also, if you're a seller and you're right at that $300,000 price point, you definitely can see an uptick in value here, and you can actually take advantage of this market right now because buyers are actually looking for your homes in this demand. Now, also, what I can tell you is that this is not slowing down anywhere. So realistically, if you heard anything that I've said about the 7 cities completely up to date right now, is that the market is on fire everywhere, really and truly. So this really means right now, this is optimal time as we head into the summer months, as school now starts to actually get out for a lot of these teenagers and high schoolers. But as we see the shift happening here for the school time frames starting to line up, This is going to be a major movement in this market, I believe, especially if we get a half a percentage point down on the interest rates. Matter of fact, speaking of interest rates, let's jump into that as well too. If we're talking about mortgage rates, you'll see that the 30-year fixed rate is sitting around about 7% according to Mortgage News Daily. Now, rate movement has been volatile and it has been tied to inflation and the Fed. Buyer behavior is still strong when homes are priced right. Rates are not tanking and neither is buyer demand. If you're waiting for a 5% interest rate, you may be waiting for a while. Buyers today are leaning in with strong pre-approvals and ready to move offers, because the longer you wait, the more home prices are just going to continue to creep up. So here's what the data is screaming to me when it comes to the April 2025 data: that the market is still fast, that the market is being very aggressive, and you're seeing competition starting to increase across all 7 cities of Hampton Roads. Now, one of the other major things that you want to take into consideration is that buyers need to have clarity. You need to be strategic and you need to understand the approach that you're going to take to make sure that you are able to land the property that you want. Now, when it comes to sellers, it's always the same. You definitely want to make sure that you're putting your home in the best light for a buyer. You want to market it right. You want to make sure that your pricing strategy makes sense and is not going too crazy against what the market is actually seeing, because buyers are willing to wait you out now in this market. The inventory seeks to tell us that, yeah, we're seeing more homes come on the market, and while there's available inventory, they're still coming off the market fast if it's the right home for them. But if it's a house that's actually just trying to be greedy, well, we see homeowners actually be stalled out. So that's what you have to really consider when it goes into your pricing strategy as a seller. So if you're a buying or a selling in the Hampton Roads market, this is why I always want to make sure I encourage you to make sure that you have a plan, and I urge you to reach out to me so that way we can create you a plan and give you the insight that you need in this market. Because this is where it's always going to come down to, is indecisiveness is going to get punished, like I said earlier. But when you have a strategy that has been tested, tried, and true, then you are ready to make a smooth move to Hampton Roads, Virginia. So feel free, give me a call at 757-294-8163 today once you see this video. And definitely, if you found value in this content, hit us with a like, definitely subscribe to the channel, and come on and ring that notification bell so that way you can be the first to learn about any and everything that's going on in the Hampton Roads market. And just to make sure that I drive this point home a little bit more, understand that this military community that we have is now in full swing of permanent change of station orders as well too. So that does mean that you're about to see a lot more movement in this market, and don't be surprised if May continues to trend upward that we saw in the month of April as well too. So I'll catch you in the next video. Y'all stay safe. Peace.